Welcome back to this week's edition of the Message Recap. We were in 1 John chapter 1, and there was this word that kept reoccurring in the text, the word fellowship. It's not a word that we use very often, but it is a word that has a lot of meaning for us. John tells us that the way that we can see Easter and touch Easter and even hear the voice of God is by the fellowship that we have with one another. In fact, our fellowship with God is only as good as our fellowship with each other, and our fellowship with each other is only as good as our fellowship with God. So we talked about that often the things that define fellowship in the church is not the fellowship that God has for us. The fellowship God has for us is one that is rooted in forgiveness. So much of the things that divide us, they're not always intentional sins, they're unintentional ones. The ways we've been hurt is not because someone meant to, but because they didn't mean to. We can't say anything either, and instead there's just this severing. But we're reminded that unless we have relationship with one another, we cannot have a relationship with God. And if we have a relationship with God, we cannot not have a relationship with one another. So this week I challenge you to do a few things. First of all, just be aware. Be aware of your words and your actions to other people. Consider how that might be hurtful to them, even in unintentional ways. Be open in conversation. Seek more clarity to make sure that something you've said or done hasn't hurt that person that you never intended to. And maybe if you have been hurt, maybe the place to simply start is that you would start praying to have a heart to forgive. I don't dismiss some of the pain and hurt people have been through, but when we're reminded of how much we've been forgiven, it is hard for us not also to forgive. And the other thing I would ask us to do is to be mindful of the ways we know we've wronged and ask that forgiveness, and then to tell someone who's wronged us they've been forgiven. I hope you have a great week. I hope you'll know the forgiveness of God, not just in fellowship with each other, but most importantly in a fellowship that offers a forgiveness for the whole world, as 1 John 2:2 says. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.